Saint Blessed Xenia was born between 1719 and 1731. Nothing is known about the saint's parents, her childhood and adolescence. It is only known that the Blessed One's father was named Gregory. Upon reaching adulthood, Ksenia Grigoryevna married a court singer named Colonel Andrei Feodorovich Petrov and lived with her husband in St. Petersburg. But the Lord did not judge the young couple for long to go along the path of life together. Andrei Feodorovich died suddenly, leaving his wife a widow in the 26th year of her life. This tragic event changed the life of a young woman. She was deeply shocked that her husband died without proper Christian preparation and did not have time to repent. Ksenia decided that by the feet of her life she would beg God for forgiveness of the sins of the servant of God Andrei. On the day of her husband's funeral, Ksenia Grigoryevna put on his clothes and told everyone who addressed her with condolences that it was not Andrei Feodorovich who died, but his wife Ksenia Grigoryevna. From that moment on, she really died for the world, taking on the hardest feat, the feat of foolishness for Christ's sake. She immediately seemed to forget everything, earthly, human, all the joys, and as a result she seemed to many like a madwoman who had lost her mind. Even her family and friends began to look at her this way, and especially after Ksenia gave away all her possessions to the poor and gave the house to her good friend. Ksenia's relatives, who believed that the young widow had lost her mind because of the grief that had fallen on her shoulders, even petitioned the authorities of the deceased Andrei Feodorovich, asking not to allow Ksenia to distribute her property in madness. The superiors of the deceased Petrov called Ksenia to themselves, but after talking with her they were quite convinced that Ksenia was completely healthy, and therefore had the right to dispose of her property as she pleased. Having freed herself from all earthly cares, Saint Xenia walked the hard path of foolishness for Christ's sake. Dressed in her husband's suit, that is, putting on his underwear, caftan, and doublet, she still assured people that Andrei Feodorovich was alive, and his wife, Ksenia Grigoryevna. But she always willingly responded if she was called Andrei Feodorovich. Ksenia did not have any specific place of residence. For the most part, she wandered around the St. Petersburg side all day, and mostly in the area of the parish of the Church of St. Matthew the Apostle, where poor people lived in small wooden houses at that time. The strange costume of a poor, barely shod woman who had no place where to lay her head, her allegorical conversations, her complete meekness, non-malice, often gave evil people, and especially street boys, a reason and courage to mock the Blessed One. The Blessed One endured all these reproaches without a murmur. Only once, when Xenia had already become revered as a saint of God, the residents of the St. Petersburg side saw her in great anger. The bullying of the boys that time exceeded all human patience. They swore, threw stones and dirt at her. Since then, the locals have put a limit to her street harassment. Little by little, they got used to the strangeness of the Blessed One. When Andrei Feodorovich's costume decayed and disintegrated, the saint dressed in rags. They began to offer her warm clothes and money, but Ksenia would not agree to exchange rags for anything, and spent her whole life in a red blouse and a red skirt, or vice versa, a green blouse and a red skirt, probably in memory of the colors of her husband's uniform. She also did not accept alms, but took only from kind people the tar on horseback, and immediately gave this tar on horseback to the same poor as herself. Wandering the streets of St. Petersburg for days on end, Ksenia occasionally visited her friends, dined with them, talked, and then went wandering again. Where she spent her nights remained unknown for a long time. Not only the residents of the St. Petersburg side were interested in this, but also the local police. for whom the Blessed One's whereabouts seemed even suspicious at night. It was decided to find out where this strange woman spends her nights and what she does. It turned out that Ksenia, no matter what time of year and weather, went to the field for the night and stood there in kneeling prayer until dawn, alternately making prostrations to all four sides. In 1, 7, 8, 6, 1, 7, 9, 0, under the leadership of priest Georgy Petrov and designed by architect Alexei Ivanov, a stone Smolensk church was built at the Smolensky Cemetery in St. Petersburg. The workers who worked on the construction of the temple noticed strange things. During their absence, at night, someone carried bricks to the scaffolding of the church under construction. Finally, they decided to find out who this indefatigable free worker who carries bricks for them every night could be. It turned out that it was Blessed Xenia, a servant of God. For her great deeds and patience, the Lord glorified His chosen one during her lifetime. Servant of God, Xenia was granted the gift of insight into hearts and the future. One day she told her old friend Paraskeva Antonova, the one to whom she had given the house, that she should immediately go to the Smolensk cemetery. "You're sitting here darning stockings, but you don't know that God sent you a son." Paraskeva went in disbelief towards the cemetery and suddenly saw a crowd of people. It turned out that the crew crushed to death a pregnant woman who managed to give birth to a boy before her death. Paraskeva took him for herself, and since she could not find the baby's father anywhere, she adopted him. Her adopted son, who was raised by her, revered her as a mother, and in old age cherished the peace of Paraskeva, who thanked the Blessed One for her great joy.